In this modern world of tactical ARs and other guns like that, is a classic like the AK right for you? Welcome back to Sawtooth Tactical. Is the AK right for you? There's a reason why I asked this question and not is the AR right for you, because I believe that the AR is right for everyone and that everyone should own at least one AR. But this video is about the AK. The AK is a very classic rifle. It has been modernized quite a bit in recent years, and so you can get, very modern tactical looking AKs just like you can with ARs. They're not quite as modular, but we're going to get into all these details in a minute. Make sure you're subscribed if you like AKs, and we're going to talk about them today. AK problems. That 7.62x39 just loves to destroy targets. It happens every time. So you just can't deny the undeniable sex appeal of the AK-47 rifle. This thing just looks classic, and it's something that people recognize who aren't even into guns. And I think that is one of the reasons to get one, honestly. So I got my first AK after owning a few ARs. And you want to know what the biggest reason that I got the AK for? Was the looks. Just being totally honest, I think that it is a super cool looking gun. You've seen it everywhere, from being used in just about every conflict since the 1940s, but also in all kinds of pop culture as far as movies, video games, everything else. The AK is the quintessential bad guy gun. And that just stems from, it was made by the Russians and the AR was made by the Americans. So you kind of have the good guy gun against the bad guy gun. But the AK has also been used by forces worldwide to win their freedom. It's on the flags of countries. That's how much this rifle is revered and respected all over the world. And I think that's a pretty cool thing. Now, is it as practical as an AR-15? I don't really think so, but this isn't an AR versus AK video. I've done plenty of videos about AR-15s and a few videos about AKs. But I think that there are reasons to own an AK, and I think that probably, if you're anything like me, and many of you probably are not like me, but I don't necessarily think that the AK should be your first rifle. I think that everyone should get an AR because it is practical and honestly, it's a little bit easier to use. But I think if you've gotten your bases covered as far as which guns you need for practicality, you've got a concealed carry gun, you've got a tactical rifle, home defense, all of those bases covered, I do think that it's worth getting an AK. And there's many reasons for that. For one, it is known for literally legendary reliability. Now, the funny thing about that is my ARs generally have been extremely reliable, and so is my AK at this point. But I bought this used. It's a 1967 Wasser 1063, and with certain ammo, it didn't want to light the primers until I replaced the firing pin and the hammer spring, and now it's super reliable. But I think maybe that firing pin had just gotten worn down. I have no idea how many rounds were on this thing before I got it. But that's the other thing I want to talk about. People act like the AK is not very accurate. Well, again, having no idea how many rounds have been through this barrel before I got the gun, it is super accurate. And for a gun without an optic, now you can mount an optic on AKs. This is the side rail, and you can go up and over with a Picatinny and put an optic of your choice on it. But it's not quite as modular or as easy to mount optics and accessories as an AR. But even without an optic, with just plain old iron sights set on the Battle Zero here, I can easily hit steel targets past 100 yards every single time. There is something really enjoyable and just satisfying about shooting the AK. One thing you cannot deny about the AK is stopping power. So this is a 5.56 round, 55 grain. This is what the AR-15 shoots. This is what the AK shoots, 7.62 by 39. This is a 22 caliber bullet. This is a 30 caliber bullet. And you know what? I shoot steel targets when I go out shooting. I've shot a lot of 5.56, 2.23, and I've never broken my steel target. I've broken my steel target multiple times shooting this AK at it. And in fact, this last time I really destroyed it. So, as has happened many times with the AK, I'm out there shooting steel and the steel plate falls to the ground because the carriage bolt holding it up to the target stand was blown right off with one of these 7.62 by 39 rounds. Well, my dumbass, once it hit the ground, I just started pumping rounds into where it was on the ground laying in the snow without thinking that, of course, the base to my target stand was sitting right behind it. Let me show you what that looks like now. Well, we're improvising targets at this point because the AK just seems to be the target destroyer, which says something about the power of the 7.62 by 39. This is what always happens to the carriage bolts just about every time I shoot the AK. Again, never happens with my 9mm pistols, never happens with my ARs. So there is something to that bigger round. Well, this is what I did to my target stand because the steel plate fell in front of it and I just kept on blasting. And as you can see, I mean, steel target stand full of holes. And of course, the part that holds the 2x4 torn to pieces. This will not really ever be usable again. Now I'm sure, I could heat it back up and maybe fix it, but I just ordered a new base for my target stand. One of the great things about AKs used to always be that you could easily find cheap, reliable 7.62 by 39 steel cased ammo. It is no longer as easy to find or as cheap, but still reliable. So if you want a heavy hitting 30 caliber rifle, the AK is that rifle without, going up to like big bore stuff, 308 and bigger. It is still considered an intermediate cartridge, but it's a 30 cal cartridge and it does hit harder in my experience. I've seen it happen. And you can feel that when you shoot it. It's a very satisfying kind of thump. It does have more recoil than your standard AR-15, but not anything that's unmanageable by any means. Now, the reason why I say it's not as practical as an AR is a few reasons. So, it's got kind of outdated controls in my opinion. This is your safety, and so you do have to take your hand off of your fire control grip. You can put longer handguards on, but generally this is what you get, are these wooden handguards. Is just not quite as ergonomic, not nearly as modular. You don't have a flat top Picatinny rail here. It's just an old school kind of gun. Rock and lock magazines, but it sure does look cool. You can totally customize and tactical out an AK these days. And I do plan on doing that at some point, just to have one, just because I like having a lot of guns, different kinds of guns. I like having project guns. But there's a reason that this is just about the only gun that I have that still looks very classic, because I love the look. Now, when I bought it, it did have this Hogue overmolded grip already on it. I have an original AK grip, but I didn't put it back on because this grip just feels so good. The only thing that I've changed is the trigger, and I did put an ALG AK trigger in here because it's just a fantastic trigger for an AK. Extremely smooth, super light, strong reset. AK triggers don't really have a wall like you may be used to with an AR trigger. It just kind of smoothly pulls right through it. Well, at least this ALG trigger does. The Tapco G2 trigger that was in it, it was a little grittier and stuff. So I do believe that that is an upgrade worth making. But AKs to me are just sexy. They're really cool. They're classic looking, but also just mean looking. And that's what I really like about them. More than anything else, I just think that they're a vibe, that they're super cool. And so if you want something that's just really cool looking, then an AK is right for you. When I have people out to go shoot with me that don't shoot a lot, and I give them the option to shoot any of my guns, even with all of these modern, tactical, much more practical ARs, everybody wants to shoot the AK. And that's just because of, just like I said, it's a vibe. Because of how cool it looks and just how ubiquitous it is. It's something that everyone in the world recognizes, and it means something to a lot of people. And I think that there's something cool about that. Besides that, I've always just been someone that kind of likes the anti-hero, and the AK is kind of the bad guy gun. And so if you want something like that, then the AK is for you. I don't think that it is necessarily the most practical self-defense gun. I think it's a perfectly fine one. It's super reliable, it's very accurate, and it works great. It's super easy to use. Like they say, you know, so easy a child can use it, and they do. But it's not as easy to use as an AR-15, in my experience. But I also have more time on an AR. But all of those things don't really matter so much. If you have all of your bases covered with guns and you just want something cool, an AK is really cool. Now, unfortunately, one of the things that used to make the AK great was cheap steel-cased ammunition. Unfortunately, that is no longer true. In fact, the last time I bought a bunch of this steel-cased ammo at my local gun store, the price of a 20-round box was more expensive than the price of brass case 55 grain 5.56. So it is no longer cheaper to shoot an AK than an AR, but so what? It's about the same price to shoot, and it's still really, really fun. Everybody loves to shoot the AK. Everybody just thinks it's cool. Especially, like I said, people that aren't really into guns, when they find out that you have an AK, that's the gun that they want to shoot. So is an AK right for you? Is an 8-pound amalgamation of wood and steel that is recognizable all over the world right for you? Do you just want a gun that's super cool? I know this video, I haven't really talked too much about the usability of the AK versus the AR. This, you know, I haven't gotten into those kind of details. I just think the AK is so freaking cool. And as much as I want to build out a modern one someday, I still want to always have one that just looks classic like this. I want to get a crank. Palmetto State Armory is very soon releasing their 5.56 AKS-74U clones, and they look super cool. So we're going to have to get one of those on this channel. PSA, if you're listening, send me a crank. Anyway, let me know down in the comments what you think about AKs, because I just think they're cool as hell. I really wanted to shoot my AK this weekend, and I thought it was worth making a video about, because I don't make enough AK videos, because I don't constantly have new accessories to try out on them or this or that like I do with the ARs. But it's just a really fun gun to take to the range. It feels fun to shoot. It feels powerful compared to an AR. You got a little more recoil, a little more thump. It destroys steel targets. It's just freaking cool. Let me know if you agree down in the comments. Give me a like if you enjoyed this video. Make sure you're subscribed. And from Sawtooth Tactical, stay strapped or get clapped.